Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Kingdom Hearts channel. In today's video, I'm going to be playing another fan-made Kingdom Hearts game called Bless My Good Right Hand, a Kingdom Hearts 2.9 Prelude. I think that's how you pronounce it. After Riku is named Keyblade Master, Sora leaves Yensen's tower alone, claiming there's something he has to do. He returns to Traverse Town in the Sleeping Realm, looking for the spirit companions that have helped him on his journey. So technically, this is like the aftermath of Dream Drop Distance. And this is, this Twine interactive story is an alternate tutorial to Kingdom Hearts 3, meant to be played right after the opening cinematic. It replaces the canon tutorial, or rather ties it more clearly into the narrative. It is also a study of the main character's state of mind at the start of this new adventure. So right now, let's go ahead and run it. You can only play it in browser. Father, wherever you are, I have only 3 throws. Bless my good right hand. So, right here, you're either new to the series or a returning fan. And at this point, I'm more like a returning fan, so I'm already aware of the series itself. So as you can tell, it's sort of like an interactive fiction game, just like in the last video. This story is an attempt at an alternate tutorial for Kingdom Hearts 3, replaces the canon dive to the heart tutorial. Instead, it expands on the events shown in the Dream Drop Distance post-credit scene, providing further context for Sora's state of mind at the start of Cage 3. And you're already aware about this. After Riku was named Keyblade Master, Sora leaves Yensen's tower alone, claiming there's something he has to do. He returns to Traverse Town in the Sleeping Realm, looking for the spirit companions that have helped him on this journey. And you get to click on this sentence, watch the scene, and I think it will lead to the scene. But I don't want to do that at this moment. But if you want to play it to see it for yourself, then I'll leave you a link underneath the description down below. In the meantime, also a reminder, all background pictures are screenshots from Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 Remix, Dream Drop Distance 2.8, Fragmentary Passage 2.8, or Kingdom Hearts 3. So let's go ahead and start this game. As you can tell, the background is loading, and it is the mysterious tower. Dono is pacing outside the mysterious tower, growing impatient, sitting on the steps watching him. Goofy sighs. He looks worried. The door opens. Goofy stands and steps back as Mickey, Kairi, and Riku walk out. The King and Riku are carrying suitcases. Kairi hops down the last steps. Donald stops his pacing as they gather around. Still no sign of him, huh? Riku asks, though it's more an observation than a question. Goofy and Donald shake their head in defeat. And you really don't know where he is, Kairi asks. Riku shakes his head. He didn't say. Said there was something he wanted to do on his own. We should have let him go. It was too soon. Donald squalls angrily. Is he going to be all right? Kyrie asked, clenching her pendant. It hasn't been that long. He wouldn't have left on his own. If he were going to do anything dangerous, Mickey tries to reassure them. They are all thoughtfully silent. Riku adjusts his grip on the suitcase, throwing over his shoulder. Kyrie holds her pendant. I just wish we had a chance to say goodbye, she says. She looks up to the sky, stars blinking in the oddly colored Milky Ways. And that's where you see this highlight color? That's where you click on it, and it leads to the next scene, which is in Traverse Town. I actually play a little bit of this just to see what it was, and I have to say, I wanted to make a video of this because this is an interesting game. Anyway, stars shine bright in the ink-dark sky over Traverse Town. One of them suddenly glints brighter, and with that flash comes the sound of someone falling to the ground. With a yelp, a keyblade scraping loudly across the cobbled floor before vanishing. The streets are quiet and empty, bathed in the golden glow of lampposts. Sora is lying face down in the center of the First District courtyard. He stirs with a groan. I can't even talk. He stirs with a groan. Then he gasps, his eyes widening in recognition. No, in recognition. In recognition. Okay. He pushes himself up and stands. And you have to forgive me if I'm not reading this properly, because it has been a while since I read a lot of stuff. Good. I was hoping this world was still here. Whoa. He sways, hit with a sudden dizzy spell. He holds his head. Ouch! Rough landing. He chuckles nervously. Okay, so we have a choice. Either we say, no biggie, or wasn't expecting that. Let's go ahead and click no biggie. Realizing something with a start, he checks his clothes, panting his chest frantically, and pulling at his t-shirt to check the front. Looking over his shoulder and spinning around comically as he tries to make sure there's nothing wrong on his back. He sighs in relief. He shakes the bad feeling out of his head. No Xehanort, no Sigils, or Sigil. Sigil? I can't even pronounce this word. This is real. He thinks I'm safe. Keep it together, Sora. And we move into the first scene. Tilt L a little to walk, or a lot to run. You can adjust the camera by tilting R. Press R3 to reset the camera behind Sora. To jump, press O. That's interesting. Sora looks around the first district, checking area at random. So Traverse Town is still here. But where are they? We could either explore the first district, push the door to the third district, or climb the steps to the second district. Let's explore the first district just a little bit. And here's a picture of Gate 1, Traverse Town. A street lamp with arms points south and east. A mailbox wearing a hat opens its mouth wide for postcards and letters. Excuse me. Neon signs glow over shop fronts and doors to other districts. The place is quiet and empty. Let's climb the steps to the second district. Sora steps into the second district and looks around disappointed. I was hoping to say goodbye. What if I never see them again? Some walls and storefronts around the square glow faintly. The wall kick ability doesn't allow you to jump and climb any more. Sora just gathers momentum and drops back down. Free running while moving with help, you will automatically climb up small ledges and hop across narrow footholds. You don't need to make the jump yourselves. Excuse me. Jumps yourself. Hit a dead end. Don't give up. You can run up walls that are faintly glowing. So we need to take a good look around for places you can go. Sora climbs the walls and reaches the rooftops with a front somersault. He turns to scan the square down below. His gaze lingers on an empty spot in front of the hotel. The memory of a figure in a black coat standing there flicked by a boy with orange hair argues with them, while a younger looking Sora in red clothes just stares. Sora immediately blinks the memory away and turns his head to look instead to a side street snaking around the block of clothes shops, maybe in the third district. Jumping down from great heights, Sora opened his arms to slow his fall. Air whooshes past, and he rolls across the pavement upon landing. I'm trying to read this properly. It's just that the pronunciation is just very difficult for me. Let's go to the third district. Let's see what we get. Sora steps into the third district and looks around. Tall walls and buildings loom around the small square. In a corner, a fountain hums softly. This is where I met Donald and Goofy when Traverse Town was in the realm between. He smiles a little at that. His gaze lands on the small house on his left. When a green solution command appears above the list of commands. That means you can press triangle to perform a special action. Well, in that case, let's see what happens if we examine the fountain. As Sora walks past the fountain, the mist and lights make his reflection split in three. His 14-year-old self wearing his Cage 1 outfit, surrounded by two blonde boys looking almost identical. Huh? He brushes at his eyes with his arms. But the visions are still here. He steps closer, looking from one boy to another. Roxas? The boy on the right smiles, while the other one looks at him. Curiously, the younger Sora just mirrors Sora's expression and gestures. What do you want? Roxas asks, a gentle voice in Sora's head. I don't know what I should say. Let's see. Vital, I can't pronounce this word. The first option is like a rugged body that will endure even the toughest of challenges. Wisdom, a sharp mind that will grant me mastery and wondrous power. Let's go with balance. In a flash of light, the 14-year-old Sora reflection turns into a normal reflection of his current self. Sora holds Roxas's gaze. I want you to have your life back, he tells him. I'll find a way to bring you back. Roxas has a smile that is both grateful and wistful. The other boy looks at Sora quizzically. Sora takes a step back and all three figures are his own reflection now. I guess they're not around here either, he mused. So let's check the house, okay? Sora looks through the dusty window. Leon, Yuffie, and Aerith used to have their HQ in this house. The ominous shrieks of a monster make Sora jump and turn to the fountain square. It's still empty. The fountain hums softly. Just a memory. Sora looks unnerved. Now this is a difficult one. Let's return to the first district. Sora returns to the first district, reaching the courtyard. He slows to a stop, sighing in defeat. The silence is suddenly broken by the sound of a creature yapping. Sora straightens up, beaming. There! That is wonderful. Okay. He turns around just in time to catch Meow Wow into his arms, the momentum making him fall backwards into the arms of a Kuma panda. Sora laughs as Meow Wow licks his face affectionately. Then he looks up and grins at Kuma Panda. A Neko cat and a Komori bat appear on either side of him. Hey, Sora greets, holding Meow Wow's front paw. All the dream drop distant spirits gather around, chirping and squealing. Sora grins wildly. Thanks, you're the best. This isn't over. Sora leans into Kuma Panda's hug, looking down at Meow Wow with a soft smile. He laughs briefly, hiding a fleeting, wistful expression behind a grin as soon as it appears, as Meow Wow keeps pawing at him excitedly. You'll always be there, right? Meow Wow gets back on all four and bounces around. Komori Bat hoovers and twirls, demanding attention. Kuma Panda takes a step back as Sora straightens up. Necho Cat, or Neko Cat, wags its tail, producing magical music notes that fade into the air. Let's pet the cat. Sora kneels to pet the spirit. I wish I could take you with me to the realm of light. Necho Cat hops and twirls. Sora stands the other Dream Eaters, jiggling for attention. Let's give the panda a hug. Kuma Panda opens its arms, and Sora presses himself against its belly, closing his eyes as his cheek touches the Dream Eater symbol. His smile turns into an an anxious frown. He hugs the spirit tighter. The power of the warrior, invincible courage. Is this the power you seek? Is this who you are? Sora looks at all the Dream Eaters scattered around the district. Oh my goodness. Taunting voices from the past weeks echoed through his mind, making him wince. He pushes them down before they can make sense. He moves from one spirit to the other at random, struggling to ignore the unpleasant memories. His expression flickers as he stops to pet a colorful Ryu dragon. It wasn't all bad, he says. I got to meet you guys and see different worlds, even if it was a little confusing, right? The Dream Eater bumps its head against him affectionately. Sora smiles. The Dream Eater takes off and perches on the hat of the a thorough let's just say a mailbox. I can't really pronounce this word. Startling it. Light filters out from a secret passage underneath its base before it rights itself. Meow Wow and Komori Bat, tumble across the courtyard, drawing Sora's attention away from it towards a door behind the shield's terrace. Alright, well, let's go examine the door instead. Sora trots closer to the door. Oh yeah, I've never been that part of town. I wonder what's out there. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm having some issues right now. I'm alright. Let me go ahead and drink some water. Ugh, excuse me. Meow Wow and Komori Bat stopped their play fighting and perked up for a small adventure. He asked them, winking. The Dream Eaters respond eagerly. Let's push the door. Let's push the new door. Sora enters darker, narrow streets. Komori Bat, Meow Wow, and Kuma Panda follow him. Hostile nightmares appear. Sora summons his Keyblade and braces himself for a fight. His spirit companions are ready to help. It says press X while attack is selected to attack with Sora's Keyblade. After landing an attack, you can keep pressing the button to chain together a combo. At the end of the combo, Sora will unleash a powerful combo finisher. Sora attacks the nightmares, his hits occasionally missing their target as the enemies move swiftly around the area. When you approach enemies, Sora will automatically target the closest enemy visible on the screen. If you press R1, Sora will continue to stay locked on to that enemy. Once locked on, you can press R2 to circle to cycle through other targets. Sora manages to chain 3 attacks and a heavy downward strike, defeating several enemies. When a nightmare hits him, it breaks his combo and sends him flying back. Press square without moving, and Sora will block enemy attacks. If you are tilting L when you press square, Sora will dodge in that direction instead of blocking. Let's try to block and do that. This is really interesting, but I don't know how long am I going to finish it. Kuma Panda punches the last nightmare as Sora rolls away from its attack. The nightmare dissipates. Sora stares at the empty space, one hand still on the ground. His spirit companions come closer, looking at Sora in concern. Sora looks serious, not at all victorious. He opens and closes his mouth before finally saying, "I'm fine." He pauses. I guess the tip of his Keyblade hits the floor. Maybe I'm just tired. He dismisses his Keyblade and stands. I did get beat up pretty hard, he says, scratching his head, grinning awkwardly at the Dream Eaters, but his smile drops just as quick. He stares down at his hands, palms turned up and shaking a little. He lets them drop, then closing them briefly into fist. He looks up. His expression is brave, yet visibly nervous. Let's keep going. Sora enters the plaza at a run, smiling at the sight of the graffiti numeral and the tall fountain with its water jets and its centerpiece sharp like a Shibuya skyscraper. I wish Deku were still here, Sora mused. At least I hope it means they all got home safe. Nightmare spawns. Ah, give me a break. Oh my goodness. That's funny. Combos feel slow and heavy, and Sora doesn't recover immediately when hit. Thrown in the air helplessly, and skeeting across the dark pavement before he can move again. After one such hit, almost depleting Sora's HP, Meow Wow heals him. Thank you. You can change the settings to tweak how you want party members to assist you in combat. As soon as Sora defeats the last nightmare, three more pop up around him. Groaning, he turns and tries to cast a spell, but the movement makes him dizzy and he staggers, almost dropping his Keyblade. Luckily, Meow jumped in and, with a bounce, finishes off the last enemies. Shoulders sagging in relief, Sora falls to the ground and lies flat on his back. His Keyblade clatters out of his hand and disappears. Sora's vision goes black. Chest heaving, still conscious, Sora presses the heel of his hands to his eyes. He bites back a curse. Unpleasant thoughts flit across his mind. A dark corridor appears against the blurry backdrop of dark skyscrapers. Young Xehanort steps out and peers down at him before crouching by his side, smirking. He holds out his hand to Sora's face as the visions darkens. Good night, Sora. No, Sora says weakly. Something's happened to me. Riku. Don't chase the dreams, echoes Riku's distant, muffled voice. They'll lead you nowhere. A sob escapes Sora. You lost the moment you dived this far in. I'm sorry. This is getting way too deep. A tear escapes his hands and slides down his cheek, dropping to the plaza floor. Meow Wow butts his head gently, whining softly in concern, licking the tear track away. How nice. Sora pulls his hands down from his face. He looks miserable, but he turns his head to look at the spirit and gives it a watery smile. With a shaky sigh, he turns to his side and pushes himself up to a sitting position, opening his arms for the Dream Eater, who redly leaps into the embrace. Sora bumps their nose together. Hey, will you eat those, little memories for me? Meow Wow licks at his face. Sora chuckles weakly, eyes closed, more tears streaming down. I'm so weak. He hugs the Dream Eater tightly, shoulders shaking, faded to black. I should go home. Sora re-enters the first district, with his spirit companions at his heels. He keeps his head down, thoughtfully dejected. Stopping near the courtyard, he looks at the door that used to lead to the lanes between once upon a time on his first journey. He is silent for a second, looking lost. They can't see me like this, he says quietly. They'll be worried. He looks the other way, to the alley, around the item store, to Geppetto's house, huddled in a corner behind the jewelry shop, to the empty tables and chairs, ready to seat realm of light refugees. Though their candles are out, voices rushes through his mind. I can't even heal myself. I've lost my powers. I used to jump higher than this. You've worn yourself down to nothing. Sir walks to the shield terrace, deliberately not looking at the balcony above. Stopping next to a table, he summons his keyblade and holds it in front of him, with both hands pointing it at the candle. He breathes slowly but heavily, starting at his weapon without casting. Then he dismisses it and storms away. Sora touches the door. Sora touches the door of the shop. "Ah, it's only a kid," says a brusque male voice. Since I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. He stops to listen, expression troubled. "But why? Why would it choose a kid like you?" says a younger male voice, Leon. Sora steps away from the shop and head bowed. Let's check on Geppetto's. Geppetto's door is locked. The lights are out. They must be back in their own world now, Sora says quietly. Does that mean Jiminy won't travel with us anymore? He can't bring himself to smile. Let's try the door. They can't see me like this. Okay, let's go to the alley. Sora steps around the corner and looks at the dead end, a boarded wall with illegible posters, empty crates were empty crates here and there, excuse me. This is where it started. Sora remembers. I didn't know a thing back then, and I was so scared for Riku and Kairi. He pauses, holding his hand over his heart. Riku was all on his own, but he pulled through in the end. Sora smiles. So maybe I can do it too. He steps to the wall and drops back against it, sliding down, stretching his legs out and leaning his head back. Meow Wow trots to him, and Sora pets its back absently. I got stronger. It's happened before, and I got better, didn't I? He looks at the small area near the door to the second district. A memory of his 14-year-old self appears, head bowed in defeat, while Donald and Goofy tries to cheer him up. He closes his eyes. Sora sinks backwards through darkness. Opening his eyes, he rights himself and lands gently on his station of awakening, a lit stained glass circular platform representing his sleeping form on a backdrop of ocean and sky. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a long one. And I was trying to read this properly, but I just couldn't bring myself to like read much because it's gotten too deep. This fan-made story gotten too deep for me. Small portraits of his friends Donald, Goofy, Riku, and Kairi smile at the top of the design. There is water below in stained glass floor. Sora doesn't get to catch a break as the water starts to seep up and floods the platform. Sora steps back alarmed. The water recedes from his shoes, anomalously forming a giant wave in front of him. A light shines through the wave. Sora runs towards it, arm outstretched. The wave breaks over him, swallowing him up. He tumbles back, recovering in a rush of bubbles. He looks up and finds himself well below the surface, the sun breaking through the clear turquoise water. Sora reacts immediately. He swims up to the surface. Breaking the surface, Sora finds himself in a strange world where an endless watery floor reflects infinite blue and cloudy skies. What is this place? He looks left and right. The ground shakes. Uh-oh. A giant shape rises from the mirror like floor, a dark side made of glistening glassy reflections instead of pure pitch black shadow. Sora stares at it, terrified. He takes a step back. Then he shakes his head forcibly and summons his Keyblade. No, I can do this. Defeat the giant Heartless. Sora rushes in, looking for a weak point, excuse me. The giant Heartless leans back one arm and slams it hand down to the ground. A shock wave ripples through the mirror surface, throwing Sora off balance and stunning him for a few seconds. The dark side pulls a large orb of pink and purple darkness from the ground. As Sora tries to hack at the hand, the large orb separates into many smaller orbs that fall to the ground. Sora takes a few hits but dodges most of them. Trying to avoid more damage, he eventually leaps from the dark side's arm to the back of its head, attacking it relentlessly. Outbursts of energy shoot from the dark side's chest and follow Sora around. Sora dodges and attacks again. No choice but to fight at close range. Smaller Shadow Heartless spawn on the ground. Sora ignores them, chaining combos until after one last hit, the Heartless finally staggers and dissolves. Angry and breathless, Sora doesn't dismiss his Keyblade right away, holding his ground, clenching his teeth. Shadow pours down his arms and legs, seeking over his shaking head. He grips the handle of the the Kingdom Key tighter, excuse me. Darkness tightens at his wrist before he finally dismisses the keyblade. The darkness slips away. He straightens up, his mouth pressed tightly shut, his chest heaving gradually. His breathing slows down. Maybe I've lost my power again, but I'm not alone. I'm not doing this without my friends. He looks up determined. They're waiting for me. He takes a deep breath and holds out his hand, summoning his keyblade once more, aiming his key at the sky. He shatters it open. He shatters it open, excuse me. He looks at the keyhole head on, unwavering, and disappears in a flash. Fade to black. Footsteps running upstairs. Okay, start talking. Donald squalls angrily. You were gone a long time. What were you doing? Goofy asked. Secret. The door opened to the magician's study room, open in a squeak of hinge. Sora burst into the room. I'm back. And that's the end of this game. That was so long. We can either start over, leave a comment, look at credits, or just say, Sora's, thank you. Okay. And for the amazing gameplay screenshots, a true nobody for the early fan beta test. My Riku for the early newbie beta test. And I can't even pronounce this word. So, that is the game, ladies and gentlemen. It's a long story. And it got me so deeply because Sora feels like he is getting weaker because he probably failed the exam and stuff. And this is a fan made game and story wise, but you can imagine if that actually happened in reality in the game. But overall, it's pretty good. And if you want to try this out, I'll leave you a link on the description down below. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day. And also, stay safe.